Cheers for tuning in to another episode of the Here's the Craic podcast.
If you haven't already, subscribe to our Spotify and Apple Music and leave a 5-star review.
And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and like the video.
Here, yo, wee Bieber boy, sing us a song. So they used to get me on their own, and I remember at one time one of them actually grabbed me my balls and was like sing.
You're probably sick of telling this story, but if you're playing on the Tipsy Bird in Belfast, Taylor Swift walks in.
I know. It's, oh my goodness, even hearing that, I just can't believe, I just feel that I've won the lottery, but there.
Here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack. Welcome back, talking shit, I'm drinking wine, like and subscribe. Here's the crack.
How's it going, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Here's the Craic podcast. I just touched that mic, so apologies. This is probably going to be episode 52, but we have another guest on, Tiernan Heffron.
I really like how the emphasis you had on my name there, Tiernan Heffron. Yeah, I like it.
So
Straight
obviously
in,
you're a singer.
You're not messing about.
If you could have one artist feature on a song with you, who would it be?
James Arthur.
Straight away.
James Arthur.
Why?
And Taylor Swift.
Why would that be though?
Well, James Arthur, I'm 22 and James Arthur was on the X Factor 10 years ago, so I was obviously 12, and I remember watching his first audition and being like, that's exactly what I want to do there. And then I went and looked into all his songs before the X Factor and his story and everything like that, and I've been pretty obsessed ever since. I think it's amazing how he came back from everything, and I just think he's such a great songwriter and an artist. I just had to drop Taylor Swift in too.
We'll get on to that later on.
Why, what are you talking about?
So I suppose the best thing to do, there's so much I think to talk about, but sort of keep this as structured as possible, but the best thing to do would be to start at the beginning. So you get into music quite a young age, a lot of sort of inspirations within more of a family sort of orientation. So how did you get into it? When was the first time you picked up a guitar and started using your voice?
Yeah, well, the singing came before the guitar, I suppose. My dad's side of the family would be very musical. My granda, Sammy, would have been very musical, and my aunts and uncles, so they would have went around Ireland and played at the Flas and mostly Irish traditional music. Yeah. So my very first memory of singing is, standing in the middle of the living room on my granda's, the mat in front of the fire, and singing to his visitors at the time. That's my earliest memory, and I was about 4 or 5 years old. And then I wrote my first song when I was 5, called The Coloured Song. I actually know how it goes. It goes, red and yellow and green and blue is the colours for me and you. And then my mum actually wrote the lyrics down in a wee book and has it locked away somewhere. I don't know what she's doing with that, but she's all sentimental on that. So that was my very first song.
So we'll get on to it later on, but obviously if you open up for a certain person in Belfast anytime soon, I think that should be the first thing you do.
Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tiernan Heffron. This is my song called The Colour Song.
Add a bit of colour to people's life.
But yeah, go on ahead. So obviously,
yeah. So that happened, and then I was always singing and stuff, and the real change came when CBBC's The Slammer. The governor. It's the governor, the slammer. So next minute, McFly were on it. Right. And I seen McFly performing, and I seen I think it was Tom's V-shaped guitar or whatever, and I was like, oh, I really want one of them. And then my dad was there, and he's like, well, why not get one for Christmas? And I was like, oh, I'll get one from Santa or whatever, and hope I get one. And then I got a guitar, and everything else kind of fell from that. Oh, and then Busted was obviously, I was going around the house in my skateboard, pretending I was Busted. That was a big thing. Westlife too. Went to see Westlife when I was 4 years old in the Odyssey, my first concert, and singing in our kitchen we used to have this it was the PlayStation 1 days. So do you remember when PlayStation controllers had the lead? It's I would got the lead, and it would have went the whole way across to the other side of the room. I would have made the stage. So I used to remember stealing my mum's Westlife, her Pride and Joy Westlife albums, taking one of them, putting them in the PlayStation, and then she's in the kitchen, I'm she can't hear it, and all I hear is an empty street, an empty house. That's not how I sing properly. and then I would have just started singing. It's just coming in and being getting a wee camera, the disposable one, clicking. And
when
a hype man.
When did you started doing gigs then? When was your first gigs?
Well, I started doing gigs properly when I was about 15, 16. And then There were mostly like country local kind of gigs.
Yeah.
Like,
and when did like you sort of realise like, oh, I'm not too bad at this singing crack? Like,
I was 4 years old singing Westlife. I was like, I'm alright. Like, this is good. No, yeah. I'm not even joking. Yeah, probably then.
Have you never like done anything else? Has it always been singing for you? Have you done anything else in uni or?
Yeah,
always
well,
been?
yeah, definitely. I've done a few things. What I do now is I work in a special needs school as a classroom assistant in a place called Castle Tower in Ballymena, which I absolutely love so much. And I mean, yeah, of course, I've done different wee things like worked on a building site for like 3 days, nearly broke my wee finger, never did that again. Nearly dropped a brick in a fellow's head, will not go there, through the scaffold. Could have been a career ender there. And yeah,
for him, not for you.
yeah, my name would have been in the paper for an hour thing there. And yeah, no, so that was an experience. And that was like when the lockdown happened, so obviously there was no gigs, there was no nothing. And my dad was like, yeah, I could get you a bit of work. And I was like, yeah, cool. And he came in with this high-vis vest and a pair of boots on. I was like, oh. I was like, this is going to be a real Conor McGregor story. So, yeah, no, I did a bit of that. Yeah, I worked in a few coffee shops and stuff when I was like 18. Kind of got like fired from all of them because it was crap. They never even put me on the coffee machine, mate. They just made me do the dishes. I was too busy talking to everyone. I actually got fired from okay, it's all coming out now, but I kind of got fired from Costa, right? Because I went into like the store and put my song on the Spotify playlist. And yeah, I was doing the floor and then it came on the queue and it was like, Emily, and I was like, oh shit.
Were you
secretly
like, how did that get there?
I was like, oh, do you not know him in the top 40? Yeah, and then she came in and like, yeah, it was, see you later. I was like, happy days.
You done it on purpose to try and get fired then?
Pretty much.
Like, in terms of it then, obviously growing up and stuff, like you still kept the singing and stuff over like when you were at school and whatnot.
We could get into this. This is like a real James Arthur podcast. You know, the true Geordie. Yeah. Let's just go there now that you mentioned that. So when I was first year, right, I was very naive in a way that I'd never change. You know what I mean? Like, in not a bad way, but I just wanted to sing. I just wanted to sing and play guitar. And at that time, Justin Bieber was coming through, so that was a big thing. And I love Justin Bieber. So you're starting secondary school, you love Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be in with the cool kids. Although I thought I was pretty cool back then, like. so I remember my very first week of first year, I got a black eye.
Seriously?
Yeah, I got a black eye from fighting in the corridor. Like someone called me Bieber boy. And I pushed him, and before you knew it, I got a black eye, and then I would always fought back. Do you know what I mean? So like, I would never say ever that I got bullied. You know, not saying there's anything wrong with getting bullied. It happens everywhere, but like, I was always like really like wiry and like, you tell me to shut up, I'll tell you to shut up. You know, if you want to fight me, I'll fight you. But then, it came to the point where like I was talking to my dad one time, and like he was like, you can't fight the whole world. You know what I mean? Stop trying to take everybody on, because we just got to rise above it, I suppose. Like, and I remember there was a time where I started first year, and it started getting out about me singing on YouTube and stuff. So I was down, like, this is a really funny story. It's like I was down the pitch in school one time, and these girls come up to me, all 5th years now. I was loving it. I was not in college. I was getting their like BBMs and all. I was
you were in first year at this point, wasn't
I was first. I was getting like all the BBMs and all. Of course the lads were gonna of course I was gonna be not liked for a few people. Did I care? No. So like I would have been singing, and they would have been up to me and be like, sing Justin Bieber. I'm like, what one? I'm like, with you, like his cover of Chris Brown. Or I would have been singing Baby. And then there was this one day that like I started singing and they got out their phones, so obviously like, there's a wee crowd, right? And the next thing you know, like people thought there was a fight. So like another 20 people start running down the pitch, and then another 20 people, and I swear now, right, the whole school came running down, and the teachers and all, and it was like Craic Park All-Ireland final day, I swear to God, and there's me just singing away, Baby, like Justin Bieber. Do you know what I mean? Everyone thought there was a riot. And so that got me out around the school, which wasn't the best thing. I mean, I keep saying it wasn't the best thing. It was I wouldn't change
What was
anything.
your first live performance?
That was my
Upgrade from the living
That was
room?
my first live performance, and then like I suppose you could say I made a few UFC debuts after that round of school. There was a point where like I remember I was like maybe first year, and this is before Christmas, and like, you know, the older lads in the 5th years didn't like that, so here, yo, wee Bieber boy, sing us a song. So they used to like get me on their own, and like I remember at one time one of them actually grabbed me my balls and was like sing, you know what I mean? And I was just like, you know, that's really shit, you know. That's like maybe he's into that stuff. I don't know, but like that happened
10
in
years
like
time when he sees you up on a stage or
yeah.
something. There's that guy.
Yeah,
Wow.
like he was like sing to me, and like that was that was really crap. Like, do you know what I mean? And then I do.
Sorry for laughing, but
I even said this on.
You wonder what
And
goes
then-
on in people's heads.
No, like I remember this one time as well. I mean, there was times where, you know, a lot of people just wanted to fight me. Do you know what I mean? Because I sang, they would have called me Bieber boy or Bender boy or whatever, and like I would have always like, you know, told them to shut up or go on. And like I remember this one time I was actually in the canteen, and someone came in and was like, such and such wants to hit you. I was like, well, for a start, it's not really hit me, like they're gonna fight me. Do you know what I mean? And then I didn't want to get like suspended or in trouble, or do you know what I mean, kind of thing. So I was just in the canteen eating my dinner, and like then like a few people came in, they're like, look outside, and I looked outside the window, and the whole school was literally looking for me, like looking for me to fight me, like this one guy with the whole school behind him. And I didn't do nothing, like, do you know what I mean? Literally nothing. I didn't want to be like, you know, yellow or whatever. So I just kind of stayed in the canteen, you know what I mean? Because this one time I just had enough. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to fight. I don't want to get in trouble. I've already got a black eye in my first week of first year. I'm not coming home in R1. So next thing you know, the bell goes ding ding ding. You know, not the boxing bell. Like I mean the bell that lunchtime's over. So I'm like, oh, happy days, like saved by the bell. So like I'm walking out of the canteen, everyone's splitting off, going to class, and then someone's like, there he is. And I'm like, oh shit. And then like next thing you know, this guy turns around, like the whole school just is walking towards me, and he pushes me. So I just like cracked him with this one. I was like, yes, hit him. And then next thing you know, I got jumped by like 5 of them, like 5 or 6 people came and just literally, how I can describe it to you is that like, you see if you get your hands and you just start slapping your face, just like that, just so many of them blattering me. I was only first year, like, do you know what I mean? This is October going into Halloween, and I remember walking out of it, and again, not wanting to get in trouble. I just don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get suspended, you know what I mean? And I had this massive lump on my forehead, and it was like a golf ball, and everyone was like, look at that, look at you. And I thought they were only joking, like, and I went like that, and I had this big like lump inside of my head, and like had it, you know, get an ice pack, and that was it. You could get anything could happen in school. Ice pack, where you go, you'll be sweet. But you know what? I wouldn't change anything, because it made me who I am today, and it, you know, it hardened me up too, and it means now that like when I get a bit of beef on Twitter from some people, I'm like, come on, do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't change anything. And listen, I don't have no hard feelings or anything to the people who did it at the time. We're all young, you know what I mean? And you know, onwards and upwards. I
think moving on, like after high school and all, obviously you started doing like bigger gigs and stuff. Like how did the whole like getting signed thing come about?
So after school I went to Belfast, mate, and I did music for 2 years, my level 3, and now it was literally like night and day. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're in a class with people who are all the same. Do you know what I mean? This is what all I ever wanted, was people who understood me and got me, and the teachers understood it, and everyone, and it was just great. Do you know, I loved it. So I had a great time there, and then that was around the time I started doing gigs, and I would have went, you know, busking after class, and like, you know, would have, you know, went round the town and busked and stuff. And then I got a gig from that. A guy came up to me and says, I'm the owner of St. George's Market restaurant, would fancy playing in there? And I says, yeah, I would love to. So I went round doing the gig, and who in walks Pamela Valentine. Right.
Pamela.
Yeah. Every man's dream. Now I'm a boy at this point. So
you became a man that day.
yeah. And so I just released my Overthinking EP at the time. So she came up to me and said, how you doing, and well done, and I give her my CD, and then she actually got me on UTV Live. So that was like my first ever TV performance, whatever. I was 17 and I did it with my band at the time, and it was just a great experience, and then from that I suppose more gigs started coming through, and it just kind of all like a domino, like
just kept the grind up,
very
like
literal there.
But then after that, obviously, like, was that your first sort of encounter, like until you sort of signed with your label? Were you doing other gigs? Because you said you'd met Rita Ora and like Rag and Bone Man.
Yeah, that year it was like Blossoms, Two Door Cinema Club. Who was it? Who was there? Happy Mondays were there that year and stuff too, and I was playing on the VIP stage in the VIP tent, and it was where Ed Sheeran played in 2010.
Right.
Don't quote me on that. It was around about 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So it was when he released Plus. So he played on that stage. So I'm playing on the exact same stage at the same festival. So that's a real milestone, kind of, from going from like the really, really empty bars in the country, like 2 people, maybe they leave, you're just here by yourself, till like that. At that time's a really big thing, and plus that's the time a Picture This was coming through, so I was singing Take My Hand, and they were really giving a lot of hope for musicians coming up, that you can actually start to make a good name for yourself. So I did that, and then the next year they said to me, you want to come back for the next year? I says yeah, at the festival. And then they released the headliners, Rita Ora, Rag and Bone Man. So like I knew that I was playing that festival when they got released. I'm like, sweet. That's how that came about.
So what was your interaction like with like Rita Ora and all, like, because you seem like someone who would just be like,
just say it how it is, Ross. You seem like a
Ross likes to beat around the bush,
in terms of it, you see Rita Ora and just immediately went, fetch me my CDs, just
so you kind of, no one really tells you this at the time, but like you're not really supposed to go and
interact with them.
Interact that
They're
much.
the untouchables,
kind of stuff. Maybe this is why they haven't called me back to the festival yet. I don't know, the next year.
You're bored.
Shout out, they're great. Just had to get that shout. They're great. Yours are good. Thanks, get me back, please. Thanks. So like, no, I was doing my set earlier on that day, and then she was obviously headlining on the main stage, and then after it, she was finished. She was just outside her her tent, where it's just now. When we were talking about Rita Ora in the tent, you thought I was near going camping or something.
I thought you were freaking Glastonbury.
So I was in this field, and there's my tent, and Rita Ora's was there.
There's a cow in between them.
Like the change rooms is like a big white marquee, basically. It's just a tent, but it was really cool because it said like Tiernan Heffron and then Rita Ora, maybe like as far as that whiteboard is, which is really cool. So she was standing outside after it, talking to people, and I just went and grabbed my guitar, and like I had like one CD left from out the whole thing, and put it in my back pocket, and I just walked over and I says, hey, like, do you mind if I get a photo with you? And she's like, yeah, sure. And she said, how did your set go? Because obviously I'm backstage, I have my guitar, and I says, yeah, like really good, loved it. So we got a stand-up photo, like someone, and then we got a selfie, which is really cool. And then after it, I says, here, I just want to give you this. It's my own CD with my own songs. And then she turned around, she was like,
this is my CD with my songs.
I says, my email's at the back of it. And then she was like, is this your last one? And I was like, yeah. She goes, oh, well, I think you should maybe keep it. And I went, no, I think you should just keep it. See. And then she was like, oh, okay. So that was it. And then I give her the CD. I give her the CD, but I always think, which is really funny as well, is that like, can you imagine in like a few years' time, or whenever, hopefully, say you're on like the Jonathan Ross show or like the Graham Norton show, and it's like, so you met Rita Ora one time, and I'm like, yeah, and I tell her the story, and like she's like, well, we have Rita Ora's, and she comes out with my Overthinking EP being like, I had it all along.
Of course, she's sitting there going, crap.
Yeah, she's sitting there being like, this wee chancer.
But then obviously, like, sort of fast forwarding to now, when we get on to the whole thing, I don't even know where to start. Niall Horan was before.
Yeah, I think you were playing a gig. I suppose this year's probably been mad. So like,
Yeah, this
you
year's
played a
been
gig
crazy.
when Niall Horan all was there.
Yeah, no, it's been mental because, like, think about going into this year, right?
Yeah.
No gigs,
Yeah.
no nothing. Like everyone's dissing live music, being like, it's never gonna be the same. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And like, meanwhile, I'm like in my room spending countless hours writing songs, believing, hoping,
Yeah.
praying that like stuff's going to happen again. And I'd always held on to the belief that when people said, it's, you know, music's this, music's that, live music, I thought, no, like, it's going to come back bigger than ever. And that's that's the mindset that I had. Now, did I fully believe that? I don't know. I just didn't know, but like, that's what I kept saying. It's going to come back bigger than ever. And I always said that like this is blessing for me, because I haven't broke through. I haven't made it into the top 40. I'm not in the top 10 in the UK or anything. So I didn't have to cancel a tour. Like I wasn't where Dermot Kennedy was, and I was going to say maybe even Ryan McMillan and stuff too, which I'm a really big fan of his. Like unfortunately, they had to cancel their big tours and their albums, whereas I didn't. I used this time as like, right, well, like, when am I ever going to, because I gigged since I was 15 and I did like so many gigs, and I thought to myself, like, when am I ever going to have this year where we're all in it together? I mean, it's not just me not gigging here, the whole world.
Yeah,
so
unlike others, it was a positive for you nearly.
Yeah, exactly. So I just like rested the voice. I love so much spending time with my family on the weekends, which was great. Spending it with my friends. You know, writing songs. I wrote a ton of songs. I learned how to use like Logic, and I developed my relationship with my label as well, with the producers and stuff. So it was a real blessing. And then like I could have never have imagined what was going to be coming. And now, I suppose, in this year, like since
that gig, was it a golf club or Galgorm or something you played? And was it Niall Horan and all over there?
Yeah, it was. So when I was like 14 or 15, I sold a CD of mine, a wee album at the time, to a woman in the school who worked there called Claire. I'm like very close with her to this day, and her son's partner at the time, she worked for this events company in Northern Ireland called Callow. Leo Callow owns it, and they put on like a lot of big events and stuff like that. So she was like, I've got someone I want to show this CD to, and then she got me a few gigs. Like I was singing for Darren Clark's you know, the Golfers private barbecue when I was like 16, and that was my first ever kind of, you know, big gig then. And then there was this, I just always remember there was this particular day, now going back to like this year, I was having a really bad day, and like my phone, like this is like, you're going to be like, why are you talking about your phone contract? But it all rings together. So like my phone, right, I pay like maybe like stupid like maybe 40-50 pound a month with Spotify and everything on my phone, and there was like £600 of the contract left, and it just broke this one day. It just wouldn't, it was really annoying how it broke, because it wouldn't connect to 4G. So that was it, you know what I mean? Like everything's working, but not the signal. So like I took it to places, and they're like, nah, like your mothering board's broke, and like they've sold you a faulty phone and this, that, and the other, and someone's went into it before, and was this new? And I was like having a crap day, and then I went on the internet that night, and I was on my Facebook. I got this message from Erin Miley, who works for Callow, and she's like, hey, what are you doing on Wednesday evening? Or say it was Wednesday or Thursday evening. I was like, nothing, I don't think so. And she was like, oh, fancy a gig? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, it's in Galgorm. I was like, okay, cool. She goes, there's going to be a few big names there. I went, cool, yeah.
Sweet.
Me on a diner, I'd be like, cool.
Just want my 4G back.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well,
don't care who's there.
Well, this will maybe pay for my new phone. And then she was like typing, and I was like, Niall Horan. I was like, oh, okay. And then
not bad.
Westlife. I was like, okay. I was like, I came running down the stairs with my and dad's like, guess what? Like I'm praying in front of Niall Horan and maybe Westlife, and they were like, oh cool, how's your phone? I'm like, I'm so broke. And then that
still
happened.
got no 4G though.
Yeah, so Niall Horan's really into his golf. And I really should know this, but I think it was the
ISPS. Yeah.
Say it, was it?
ISPS. It's in
a bit of my
Galgorm,
fault. Yeah. So that was the big event at the time, and I got performing for 2 days. So one of them was I was performing in this wee in Galgorman, like the wee almost like hot kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in walks Niall Horan, and with everyone there, and I was performing, I was singing songs and stuff, and there was one of the girls that he flew over, Amy, her name is. She's like a real inspiration for she's Down syndrome, and she's really into her golf. So he brought her over and flew over from America, and she's doing really well. And she came up to me and she was like you know, almost like starstruck around, like, well, why it's Niall Horan's over there, and should you not be over talking to him? And she was like, you're so good, and like, can you sing me a song? And I was like, of course, what would you like to hear? Right. So I took my chance, right? She was like, and I was like, one of my own. She's like, one of your own. I was like, oh, okay. So Amy here wants me to sing one of my own songs. Yes. And Niall Horan's like standing there with his hands in his pocket beside her, going, smiling away. And I goes, this is my own song. And then I sang one of my own songs, and he was listening throughout the whole song, and he clapped at the end, and he nodded his head. And then I didn't want to bother him too much, because you know what I mean, like,
he's Niall Horan.
No, not even that, but like he doesn't know who, he doesn't know me, and I know him, and he has potential if he really wanted to, if he's seen something in you, to, you know, take you into the studio or write with him or open it up. Like I would love to open up for him, and hey, is this going on TikTok?
Yeah, go. We'll clip this.
Can we make this viral? Tag Niall Horan. No. I mean, it would. Did you say I'm a chancer? It would just be. It would
like,
be.
You know, I would really love to.
It's like, do you ever watch those videos people do on TikTok now with their like parent or something? We need to win this £5,000 because my mummy's been selling drugs on the street. Look right into the camera.
No, like I would absolutely love to open up for Niall Horan. And do you know, like that kind of stuff, but he knows that, like, how do I say this, that like, you know, think about the amount of situations he's been in and the amount of young artists who come up and I would love it. So I didn't want to mention it too much, or, you know, because he's there for his own thing and having a good time. I just wanted to do a good job, and I'm a big believer in the universal work, whatever way it's worked sometimes, and I just kind of, well, that's kind of my excuse for, like, when it doesn't work out, oh, the universe didn't make it work. But I said to him at the end, I was like, thanks so much for listening and my stuff. He's like, yeah, like, no problem, you've got a really good tone of voice, it reminds me of someone from here. And I was like,
Nathan Carter.
Yeah, I was like, I was thinking, like, I don't know, like Van Morrison or something. And he was like, Ryan McMullen. I was like, oh yeah, like Ryan McMullen. I love Ryan McMullen's music. I'm a big fan of Ryan McMullen. And he says, yeah, you're a similar tone of voice. And it wasn't until, like, maybe after we had that encounter, I'm like, wow, that's really good. Yeah. Really good. So, like, he can walk away being like, no matter what I did, like, he sounds like Ryan McMullen, and we all know how good Ryan McMullen is, and what he's did from being from here as well.
But that probably meant more to you than him turning around saying, oh yeah, like, I'll check you out and I'll pass you on, and then just a false promise, sort of, so to speak, which I would say a lot of young artists get.
Well, this is really funny how you say this, actually, because it leads really well into this next story. Hey, you know, I'm a songwriter, alright, like, I love a wee story, alright. I'll probably write a song about this or something. So, like, next thing you know, he said that, and I says, do you know Ryan McMullen? He's like, oh, I've messaged him a few times and stuff, and so Ryan McMullen, if you're watching, check your DMs.
Yeah, ours is in there somewhere as well.
No, actually check your DMs, Ryan, because I actually sent you a wee message. But no, so yeah, that happened, and that was cool. And, you know, the next day, he was eating their dinner and stuff, and there's a lot of big names in the hall, and I was literally singing for a couple of hours, and he was right in front of me, and he was singing. I was singing like Country Roads and like different things, and he was like, oh, tune, and like clapping around, turning around and clapping and stuff.
Who's this?
Niall Horan.
Right.
But wait, you hear this? This is where it gets really cool. Is Shane Fyland was there, right? And do you remember going back to, like, when I was like 4, my very first?
The PlayStation 1.
Yes, singing Westlife. So Erin, the woman who works with them, came up to me and was like, have you met Shane? Yeah. And I says, no, I haven't. She's like, "Do you want me to introduce you?" And I says, "Yeah, please," because he was talking to a few people at the time around the table, and I didn't want to come over and interrupt him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went over anyway with Aaron, and he noticed me straight away, and he shook my hand. He's like, "Oh, good job tonight, man. Sounding really good." In fact, I actually thought there was like a CD on, and then I looked up and you were singing Thomas Rhett, "Die a Happy Man." And you're sounding really good. And I says, "Thanks so much." And I says to him, "Look, I just want to say thank you, because, you know, I'm obviously doing what I'm doing now and singing and writing songs, but my very first memories is singing Westlife songs in the kitchen, you know, when I was like 4 years old." He was like, "Oh, no way, really?" And I thought when I would talk to him that it would only be for like, you know, like,
Hi, bye.
like, hello, good luck, thank you very much, photo, wow, that was amazing. But we clicked off, like we were chatting for like 10-15 minutes.
Exactly.
We were chatting about family, about our mothers, mothers. I never call my mother. We were talking about our mas, like our mums, like our mothers, our mas, our mums, and we were talking about family. And you know, some of the stuff that he said to me was really cool. And he said to me that like yeah, like, you're good on the guitar. I've started doing guitar lessons too, you know, online. I'm like, really? I was like, give me a shout, I'll give you some for free. And he was laughing, and then he was like, yeah, like my daughter and my son are like really good on the guitar and singing. And I was like, here, they'll not need a manager anyway. They got their dad. And then do you know what he said? He turned around and was like, now I think Louis will probably steal them off me. So yeah, that was amazing. And chatted to him for a while, and at the very end I was talking about my own songs, and he says to me that like I remind him a lot of I remind him a lot of himself, when he was younger, about. And I says, you know, I just kind of want to go on and do it now and chatting to you. You've been there, you've done that. Do you know what I mean? He says, yeah, all it takes is like a lucky opportunity, someone to believe in you and give you that thing. And he says, like, if there's anything that we can do or I can do to help you, we will. And like, come on, that is amazing to hear that. And I was just like, I just said to him, I was like, I will not let you down. He was like, oh, I know you wouldn't. And he shook my hand, and then I was like, right, T, come on, you're doing a good job here. Don't rip it. I was like, here, I'm not looking for your phone number or anything, but is there any way I can send you one of my songs? I have one that I think would be great for like that kind of stuff. And the music we were talking about, and he says, yeah. So he called his manager over, and his manager put his number into my phone, and he said, send us over a couple of your songs whenever you get them. And I did a few days later, and he got back to me, and he says, thanks very much for sending them on, Tiernan. I'll send them on, we'll see what happens. So that was amazing.
So obviously,
so yeah, if Westlife, if you're watching, Niall was in Westlife. Niall.
Anybody.
Yeah.
So moving on, obviously you're probably sick of telling this story, but you're playing on the Tipsy Bird.
Yeah, I'm not sick of telling this story. Like, I love it.
You're playing on the Tipsy Bird in Belfast. Taylor Swift walks in.
I know. It's, oh my goodness, even hearing that, I just can't believe. I just feel that like I've won the lottery, but better, much better. You know what I mean? Like, I actually don't even, I still sometimes can't believe this is the situation that I've been in and I'm out of, but in a really good way. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, like, Sam Fender got discovered in a bar because Ben Heyer's manager walked in. He invited him to London. You hear of all these stories and stuff, and like, no matter what bar you're playing in Belfast, you always kind of hope and dream and imagine. And like, when I was in Manchester, someone could be in this crowd that's an A&R or you know, Atlantic Records or something like this. Never did I think that it would actually happen to me. That like, probably, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, the most amazing story you could ever dream of, like the music industry walking in, like Taylor Swift, and she'd become, I suppose, a fan of my work, and she was lovely, and it was just amazing. Can I tell you about the full story? No, so basically, I play in the Tipsy Bird every Friday night. It's like my regular gig in Belfast. And you know, I was feeling good. I always, this is pretty cool as well. I always remember it was the 10th of September, and I was just having a really good day. I was working in the school this day. It was a Friday, right? And
it was a cold Friday morning.
It was
going into the full story.
Do you want me to do a real destination writing about this one now? So it was a Friday, and I was working in school, and I always remember this one day I was drawing a number line, you know what I mean, for the kids. And not like laughing, like, haha, like I'm drawing a number line, just kind of laughing, like, Yeah, okay, it was. I was like, it's quite funny. Because I was like doing this number line, I sent a Snapchat to my friend, like, hard day at work. So I always remember this one day I was from drawing a number line to like Taylor Swift Encounter. Do you know what I mean? All in the one day. Life is weird. So like I was doing this and I was just having a really good day, and I was with the kids and I just absolutely loved working with them. And it was lunchtime and they're eating like...
He's looking at me. You just wiggled that
Here's
way.
the mic.
The mic.
Right.
Sorry.
Go on ahead.
So I just remember it was lunchtime and the kids were having a KFC. And
Nice.
you're probably like wondering like, where does this go from Taylor Swift? But
Yeah.
like they're having a KFC and I was like, oh, I really want a KFC. So I only get half an hour on my lunch. So I walked down to KFC in Ballymena, you know, from beside the Costa because the school's up behind it. I walked down anyway and I walked into the store and what is it? Shop? Store?
Chicken
Store.
house.
I walked
Chicken
into the
shop.
place
Yeah.
and I was like, God, I'm starving. Right, I'm going to get like a boneless banquet. Did I say it right? Boneless
Yeah.
banquet,
boneless banquet.
with like 2 extras. You know, like
Mhm.
you gotta get the corn on the cob and something else, and gravy. That's what it was. So next thing I know, she was like, "That's like £9 something," and I went, "Yep." I forgot my wallet.
Right.
So I was like, shit. So I was like, sorry, I forgot my wallet. And the woman was like,
No
No,
chicken for
no
you.
chicken for you.
and I was like, here's me with my school bag, like lanyard and all that. I'm not gonna rob the place or anything. I'm gonna pay. So I was like, look, listen, like, I will pay you this. It's like half free. Like, come on, like, I will be down here at half free. I haven't got enough time to run back up, eat, you know,
Yeah.
bring it. And then this lovely lady was sitting there with her couple of kids, and she just bounced off her chair, and she had her phone, like, and she was like, I think, you're a wee legend. But I was like, no, don't, please don't. She's like, no, let me get it. I was like, no. So the girl was like, right, let me get the manager. And then she says to me, look, if they can't, I'll get it for you. And I was like, no, you don't have to at all. But secretly I was like, oh yeah, please.
I need that
Starving,
gravy.
like, so next thing, the manager came out and she went, just to see him, like, and she's like, nah, sorry, we can't. I was like, right, fine. And then the woman came up and she went, bing, and like paid it.
Yeah.
What a lovely lady. Do you know what I mean? And that, there's just like, there's a deeper meaning behind all this. You know what I mean? Like, there is nice people out there, and like, what a nice thing to do
Yeah.
on a Friday. And I was like, here, thank you so much. Like, please give me your PayPal. Let me pay you that. You know? And she's like, no. She's like, you're working up in the school. You must be doing a good job, working hard, fair play. And I just thought, oh, it's just
What
so
a
nice.
legend,
No,
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
there's really nice. It's a really nice thing to do. So that was the same day, and I mean, everything was just working out really well that day. And then I came back to the school and told a few people about the nice story that I just had and the woman paying for it. And then I rang my friend Sheriff, who works in Castle Tower. She helped me get in there. She's the music teacher. Big shout out, Sheriff. And next thing you know, I'm having a great day today. Like, everything's so good, and like, that woman paid for it, and how nice is this? So, you know what I mean? I wasn't feeling like shit that day. You know what I mean? I was having a good day.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to my gig. So I was driving up and I was hoping that, you know, hopefully this would be a good buzzing gig tonight. I could do with getting that out of me. And I walked in and the place was quiet and it was pretty dead. And I was just like, so I says to Rushing, the bar manager, I was like, here, is this going to be a quiet night tonight? And she was like, no, it's not actually. You see them balloons over there? There's these balloons, and it was like initials, like conversation with friends. So I was like, what's these about? Is this like a birthday party or something? And she was like, no, you ever heard of Normal People? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, well, the cast is, you know, and the crew are coming in from Conversation with Friends to celebrate their rap party tonight. So I'm like, yeah, do that again. Do that again. So that's what I was like,
Fair enough.
all right. So she was like, you know, I know you're scheduled for a 2-hour set tonight, but do you mind doing a bit more if it's really good? And I'm like, yeah, happy days. Really, really good. I will go on for a good,
All night.
yeah. So next thing you know, I walked up to the stage and they started coming into the bar. Like, you know, they were quirky people. They weren't like your average
Yeah.
normal people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're actually what I did there.
Yeah.
normal people. So like Ross is like no, so like they started coming in and they looked really cool and like funky and stuff, and then I was like still getting the crowd warmed up. But this is the thing that like I don't say to many people in like the past interviews and stuff. It was like I was trying to get the sound right, you know, so I started at 9. This is about 10-15 minutes past 9, and I was just getting a bit warm and flustered, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the treble was too much. It was, you know, just little things like it was too bassy, and but meanwhile trying to still get the crowd warmed up. So it was like mid gig, I was like tuning my guitar and like trying to do this, and literally, right, a woman came up to me as this is all happening, and she was like, "Just to let you know, Taylor Swift has just walked in." As I'm bent down trying to tune my guitar, and then I just thought to myself, like, this is the last thing I need to hear. Like, this is the last. Like,
tell her to come back in half an hour, please.
Like, why would you even say that? Like,
Yeah.
I just thought like to myself. So I kind of was tuning my. No, seriously, Taylor Swift has just walked in. And I looked up at her, and I looked behind, and there she was. No, she's not on it. She's a she. There she was, Taylor Swift walking through the room. Oh, and even thinking back to it now and talking about the story, I still get real nervous, like, because it was like I was like,
It's Taylor Swift.
I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like my mind went blank. I didn't know what to sing, what to say. Like I probably forgot how to play guitar for like a second. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, oh my goodness. So I actually unplugged the guitar. And I muted the 3 channels, and I plugged out the guitar and I slid the guitar down, and then everyone was going, "What are you doing? Taylor Swift, like, give me a minute, like, please, like, hold on, Brazil, like, let me, I'm setting up the sound." And like, they all thought I like pureness like trapped it and be like, "Nah, I'm not doing this anymore." So like, I was like, "Give me a second, please." So like, I just took a minute to myself to like get my stuff together, like tune my guitar really slowly, just try to get down, and then I just thought, you know what, let's go for it. Like I just knew how like, you see the amount of young musicians on TikTok, right, just alone, or YouTube. Think of every musician, songwriter in the world coming up would dream of being in this position that I'm in. And I'm really lucky to be like conscious of that. So I was just like, right, well, I didn't think like, right, this is going to change my life, or she's going to like take me on tour, or like, you know, she's going to even have any interaction with me. Did I hope for a photo? Yeah, because people aren't going to believe this. But like the Rita Ora story, like, you know, all the other people I've met, I just thought, you know, it might only get a photo here, and you know, that might be it. Still pretty cool though. So I just started into my set, and within about 10 minutes I had her up on the dance floor singing and dancing to Tell Me Ma.
No way.
You know, Taylor Swift dancing to Tell Me Ma.
Wow. What was she dancing like? She a dancer?
She was just dancing.
She was mediocre.
Like, no, she was honest. No, the really cool thing about her was like she just blended in like every other like person in the bar. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing that comforted me when I started in the singing. I was like, well, do you know what? Like, she probably don't go out much. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's probably never in a bar.
Of all the things to say about Taylor Swift, like,
yeah,
probably doesn't go out much.
Like, well, listen, come on, do you know what I mean? Like, when's Taylor Swift ever in a bar in Belfast drinking margaritas? That's what I meant.
Was that what she was drinking?
Margaritas.
Because I had messaged my girlfriend. Her sister is like the biggest Taylor Swift fan, so I messaged her the other day and I was like, we're getting this fella on, because I sent her the link to the news article, and she was like, oh my word, like, that's mad, he got to meet her, like, that should have been me and all this here. She actually sent me a question. She said she said, what was she drinking? So she was drinking margaritas. She wants to know, was she in a private booth or just randomly in the bar?
No, she was just in the bar. Like, do you know, like,
and low key, I think Danielle would want to know, what did she smell like? Like, what sort of perfume was she wearing?
Nah, I didn't.
She smells like a metal.
I don't know about. I wasn't like that weird. Like, I wasn't.
Sniffing her hair and all.
No, Taylor. But she did give me a hug. So like, this is where it gets to part 2. Do you know what I mean? So like, I started singing and that, and I'm just, well, first of all, I thought of like, you know what, like, yeah, like, she's probably not gonna know much. Like, I have to give her a good night here in Belfast. Like, and I just thought to myself, no, I've like worked for like 10 years doing these gigs. Let's just be me. Let's just do what I do, and you know what I mean, and be confident in my ability and show what I got. And it was funny because I was on Cool FM, and like Pete and Paolo were like, do you know, like, did you try hard? Do you know what I mean? Like when you try to impress. I was like, I sang every song like it was my last song.
Yeah.
Because I literally did. Like I just went for it for like 3.5 hours. Like I was sweating. Like I was doing a proper Bruce Springsteen. Like, and she was loving it. And then I started like, you know, tailoring it to like her liking. So like I know that she's into like
Nice.
So like pick your hand up
What one?
like that. Put it like that. Give yourself a pat on the back.
I thought you were gonna show me some like thing you did with her or
I thought
something.
you were gonna high five him or something.
Put your hands up. So yeah, no, she was like up dancing and stuff, and then these couple of people come up to me and they were like probably asking for like Wonderwall or something at the time, and then Taylor Swift just comes up to the stage and the Tipsy Bird with like open arms, gave me a hug, and she had like notes like cash in her hand, and she gave me it. And she says, "Take this. This is for you. You deserve it. You're so good. Like, what's your name? Like, who are you?" And I says, "My name's Tiernan Heffron. I'm 22, and I work in a
And I want to be a singer.
and I'm
gonna be a star."
I was like, "I'm feeling 22." No, I was just like, I think with like Niall Horan and with the other Rita Ora, I didn't think I'd make a mistake, but I didn't really stress how much I want it. You know what I mean? How much I really, really want to, if you want to say, make it.
Yeah.
In that way. So I just said to her like, look, I work in a special needs schools classroom assistant, but I'm working really, 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 really hard on my own music, because out of everything, I want her to know that I'm a songwriter too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because she is one of my favourite artists and songwriters, and I have watched her documentary and I have listened to her albums. I know a lot of her songs, and I love her story, especially with Ed Sheeran and stuff. I know that she took him on tour and broke him in America, so I knew he was.
Yeah.
I knew he
Opportunity
was,
was
you know
there.
what I mean? But never did I think that it would happen the way it did, and she gave me that, and it's like I had it frozen in my hand for like the whole time, and I was just like, shit, is it rude to put this in my pocket while I talk to her, or like whatever? So I was just like, yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. But I kept thanking her. I was like, thank you so much for like whatever you give me. Now I didn't know at the time how much it was, but I was like, thank you so much. And I showed her my Instagram, my Spotify, like right in front of her. I could hardly spell my name. I was like,
Yeah.
And she was like, right, yeah, cool, like I got you. And she actually went to walk away after, because you know what I mean, it's kind of over, like see there. And then she was walking away. I was like, here, can you call her back? So I just got some random person like call Taylor Swift back. So like she was walking away, and like someone was like, Taylor, like she came back, and I'm just like standing there, come here, man. So like I give her like my wee business card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, they're over there. Are they? I don't even know. Oh, they're in my
Yeah, there's one
wallet.
there.
Doesn't matter. Oh, there. I was actually gonna give you all one each, but like, you know, I'll just rip it. Right. There you go. You got my number. You got my Instagram. You got my Snapchat, right? So now there's plenty more of that came from. So like, no, basically, right. I give her my card. I goes, look, whatever you give me, you know, that's shit. But I haven't got much to give you, but I'll give you my card. So I give her my card, and that was it. And then it was cool because like after that happened, I still had like half a set to go. And you know the difference between her walking in and having to sing to that was unbelievable, because I could even be even better now, because I was like, well, I've did it, like I've won her over, like she's enjoyed my set, she's having a good night, and she kept like leaving the bar, and I thought, oh, she's away, like, do you know what I mean? But she was only going outside to the beer garden and back in and dancing her way back in. It was amazing. And they had this, her and her boyfriend was there too, Joe Waldman, who is the main actor in the Conversation with Friends that's coming out next year, and you know, they were sitting like really watching my set, and like, you know, they made me feel really warm and welcome, and that I was doing a good job. I tell you, like, she clapped after every song. She's singing along. I sang Somebody Like You by Keith Urban, because I know that she opened up for him on tour. So I had all these wee things under my belt that I was able to do.
It's amazing. That's class.
So I did the rest of my set anyway, and that was it. And I finished my set, and like, can you imagine being in a situation where you have to say cheerio to Taylor Swift? Do you know, like, what do you even say? Like, bye, see you later. Like, do you say see you later? Because I don't know if you're going to see her later. So like, she was just standing with her partner, and I've got my stuff packed down, and I was walking out. But obviously, come on, I had to say see you later.
Yeah.
So I walked up to her.
Right, love, take her easy.
Yeah, take her easy. Don't be going too hard on it tonight, Taylor, in Belfast. You know what I mean? And I says to her, look, thank you so. And she goes, oh my God. And then she gave me another hug, and then she was like, you're so good, and like you're going to do great, and you're really confident. And she goes, I heard you singing Ed songs tonight. I was like, yeah. And she goes, do you know that me and Ed are like besties? And I'm like,
no.
It's like, funny you say that. Everything has changed. And then she's like, yeah, everything has changed. No. And then I was just like, yeah, like, she goes, I heard you singing American country music tonight. I was like, yeah, I love that music. That's the type of music that I love to write. And then she goes, this is my partner, Joe. So she introduced me to Joe Aldwin, her partner. I shook his hand. She says, look, me and Joe have actually wrote the past 2 albums together. So like, even her telling me that is like really cool. Yeah. I'm like, wow, like lucky man. Do you need a hand? And she said that, and she goes, look, this is you. She goes, do you play here every Friday? Every Friday, every week? I says, yeah, I play every week. She goes, this is you putting in your 10,000 hours. This is how I started. This is how Ed started. She goes, you knew what to do if a string breaks. You knew what to do if someone shouts something. You knew what. She just started naming all these stuff off. And then I knew in my head, right, I'm doing okay here. I haven't said anything like that I'm gonna regret. Like, do you know what I mean? I haven't asked too much. Just leave it. And then I was like, nah. I was like, here. So do you remember you said about me like hearing one of my own songs? She's like, look, my management and I can't really be giving out personal information, but and then she got my wee card and said, I've got your card, I know your name, I loved what you did, I enjoyed your set, you made my night, I'm going to look into you, see what you're doing, and send you positive vibes your way. And that was the last thing that she ever said. And then I walked home.
You walked home the route.
I walked out.
Such a high.
I'm walking home. No, I was going to say I walked out, I walked away, and yeah, it was amazing.
So, like, obviously following on from that, you've done a lot of interviews, and then you'd went in Capital FM.
Yeah, it was crazy, because she asked me, the one thing she said to me was, can you please hold off 3 days before posting the selfie? Because when we were chatting, she was like, can we get a selfie together? So like, she asked me for a selfie. Like,
fair enough.
And I just turned around to her and I just said, like, just like I was talking to you lads, I was like, here, can we get a few, please? Because I might not like how I look in one of these, and I'm going to regret that. And she was like, yeah, sure. I'm really good at selfies. Like, and then she took a selfie and she asked me to not put it up for 3 days. I waited for a few days to put it up, obviously, but I love telling my friends. You know what I mean? Because like, what a story to tell. Like, so I'd ring people up and be like, here, guess what? Like, Taylor Swift was at my gig last night, and like, they didn't believe it. They were like, no way. And I went to my best mate Aiden's house. Like the night that it happened, after it's like 3 o'clock, I like called in and like I was like telling them about it, and like we just couldn't believe it. This is crazy. Like, and then I came home, and then I remember at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was just sitting playing the piano in my room, and it wasn't even like I went home and I sat in my bed and I itched my head and I couldn't believe what happened and I freaked out, or I was just so content and happy, and she was just such a lovely woman and lovely person. I was like playing the piano and stuff, and then a few days later I put up the post on Facebook, and I spent 3 days thinking about what do I write. Do you know what I mean? Do I write a story? Do I write like some sort of caption about it? So I just put it up, and then within like 2 minutes I think it had 140 likes, and I was like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. And like my mum and dad were in the kitchen. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's got 350 likes, it's only been up a minute, like 5 minutes. And my dad was like, is that good? I'm like, what? Yeah. And then next thing you know, like Cool FM like got in touch, and honestly, when Taylor Swift, from the photo, all I thought was, I've been trying for like 5-6 years to get some of my songs played locally on the radio, like especially in Cool FM. So if you want to break your own country, you want to get on Cool FM. And I had never had any luck at all with it, and it was pretty frustrating, and I just thought to myself, right, like maybe now Cool FM will play one of my songs. You know what I mean? Maybe that was all I wanted. That was all I thought would happen, hopefully. And Cool FM were in touch, and then before you knew it, like Curtis McCosh. Curtis McCosh. He got in touch with me. And he was like, do you want to go on Cool FM now in like 5 minutes? I'm like, right, sweet. So he rang me up, got it edited, put it out. So like from releasing that photo to like 20 minutes, there we go. First one, boom, Cool
Same.
FM's done. Me and my mum and dad are in the kitchen, and then a couple of radios or interviews were going on that night, and then the next morning I had work. It was on the Tuesday, so I was going to work, but in the school start at 10 o'clock, and I had a couple of interviews ready in the morning at like 7:30.
Right.
Okay, so I think it was like, you know, BBC.
Just watch tonight.
Sorry, don't watch it.
What?
I'm watching it. What about it? Am I joking? So like, I think it was like BBC, like, you know, Good Morning. what was it?
BBC or something.
BBC.
Good Morning Britain.
Nah, no.
No, right.
Although it was on the Lorraine. Me and
Oh,
the
yeah?
Lorraine, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it was cool. But this is like a couple of days after. What's that one? Do you know what I mean? Like, Good Morning Ulster. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like
yeah.
that. So a couple of interviews like that happened. I was getting ready for work, and then next thing you know, my phone get this text. It's like, "Hi, Tiernan, it's the Nolan show here. Do you want to go on in the next half an hour for pre-record heavy?" I'm like, "All right, cool." So I rang my boss, and I said, "Like, you know," actually my mum rang him, and she's like, he was like cool about it. He's like, "Just come in a few hours and take a day off. It's all right. We understand. Good luck. It's all good. Just enjoy." So I sat at that table at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't leave that table till 4:30, and I didn't even eat a bite. I couldn't eat anything. All it was all day was just everything you could have possibly dreamed of coming to me. Like the Irish front page of the Irish News rang, Radio 1, Roman Kemp, Capital wanted me on the next day with Amanda Hogan and Roman Kemp for the breakfast show. Like it just did everything. You could Cool FM, Downtown, Belfast Live, Belfast Telegraph. Like
Aye, the
I
whole
mean,
shebang,
Radio
yeah.
1, like UTV were going to call out to the house. Throughout all this, like there was like 15 or 16, all the huge biggest ones, and I never felt a feeling like this in my life. My life was literally changing by the hour. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because meanwhile, while this was all happening, I was getting these messages like, boom, 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 like, "Oh, I heard you on this. I heard you. Congrats. This is," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was crazy, and yeah, I mean, then the next morning I was on that night. It was also just getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
and my mum and dad were in the kitchen, and my mum was on her phone, and she just goes, "It's went global."
Mm-hmm.
And that for me took it to another level. Like I think I even heard your stomach go there.
Oh, no.
That was literally
Yeah.
that was literally what I was like. I was like, what? So like, and then meanwhile, about an hour after this happened, my label in America started sending me screenshots on WhatsApp, like countless like screenshots, and I'm like, what? And then like it was on their Facebooks
Yeah.
and like their WhatsApp, like Sky News had now shared it.
Yeah.
Like iHeart Radio, it was on that. Like so many of them. So started sending me all these stuff. So like I was trying to sleep that night. I went to bed at like, I put up this status just from the heart, basically didn't overthink it. Just like, this has been the most crazy day of my life. Thank you so much to everyone. I can't get back individually, but I'm going to bed now. I'm going to be on with Amanda Hogan and you know, Roman Kemp on Capital tomorrow.
Yeah.
Amanda Hogan's on Heart, and that's how I started going mental, and like I didn't want to check it because I was going to bed. You know what I mean? So I was trying to sleep at like 10, and all I could think about was like global. Like this is crazy. Like people talk about being an overnight success. It was like I've worked for like 12 years for this exact night now. So it was like trying to go to sleep knowing that like you're like currently all going, this is a story's going global about that could potentially change your life, you know, for what I've always dreamed of. And it was mad. And the best way I could even describe that is like, I wish I had like a basin to be sick. And do you know what I mean? Like, you know when you're sick and you're on the bed, your stomach's going over. I was like wanted to have a basin just to, like, if I was going to be sick in the middle of the night. But like it wasn't nervous. It was like more like excited. You know what I mean? Like, and then the next morning I went and I did the interview with Roman and on Capital FM.
And now you're opening for Tom Grennan.
I know. It's crazy because they said to me it went to 17 million people in half an hour across the UK that morning. And so like basically I went there and they said to me on the Zoom calls like, who's your favourite artist at the minute? I know that you were talking to the producer about, you mentioned Tom Grennan. And I says, yeah, like I'm a real big Tom Grennan fan. I love his music. And he goes, well, look, it's not really going to be set up or anything, but we're going to ask you who's your favourite artist or who would you like to perform in front of next. If you can mention Tom Grennan, that'd be great. So I says, yeah, cool. And they said they were going to play one of his songs. So we're on and chatting about it, and literally, right, it was like watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Only I was in the corner and it's
Yeah.
live across to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I really needed the bass in there. I was like,
Yeah.
this is class. Bleh. So next thing you know, I said to Roman, I was like, this is like me watching you on YouTube. He's like, yeah, mate, yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Right, come on, tune in. Like, and yeah, like, maybe we want to cut that a little bit because he didn't say tune in, but you know. But he was like, I said to him, like, this is like watching this on YouTube. And he was like, yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? He's like, how do you pronounce your name? This is as we're going live. He's like, we're going live in 30 seconds around the UK. He's like, how do you pronounce your name? I'm like, it's like Tiernan Heffron, but you can say it whatever way you want. He's like, is it Heffron or Heffron? I was like, I don't really know, Roman. Like, I suppose whatever way you want. He's like, no, I need to know. Quick, 10, 9. I'm like, Heffron. He's like, Heffron's like, straight in live. He's like, you might have heard about a story about Tiernan Heffron. And I was like, yes.
You got my name right.
And he says to me, who would you like to perform in front of next? And I says, like, Tom Grennan I love Tom Grennan.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mentioned James Arthur too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes,
Yeah.
well, funny you say Tom Grennan. We've actually got actual Tom Grennan on. Next thing you know, Tom Grennan pops up on the screen.
Yeah.
Oi, oi! And I'm like, oi, oi. Oi, oi. And then he was like, yeah, how's it going now? I was like, how are you finding all this fame, man? And I was just like going blabbering on, like, it's like I've been living under a rock. I don't really know. I haven't left the house. Like, I haven't checked Facebook. It's everywhere. And he's like, yeah, man. And then Roman was like, to Tom, he's like, there's something Tom wants to tell you. It's like, Tom heard about the story, pinged them a message, and he says, like, live on it, he's like, listen, man, there is something I want to tell you. I'm playing in Belfast next year, and I would love for you to open the show and bless the crowd with your voice and with your songs, mate. And I says, of course I would love to. So
Yeah.
that happened, and that was just when I thought things couldn't get any better. Do you know what I mean? And like, I actually knew that Tom Grennan was playing in the Ulster Hall that next year. I actually did a wee
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
You done a
you
TikTok
can bring
thing,
it up.
like,
Do you want
I basically seen it and I was like, oh, please make this TikTok go viral so I can support Tom Grennan when he comes to Belfast or something.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. And I was working that day in school, and I had like 20 minutes to do a quick video, and obviously I know Tom Grennan was playing and stuff, but you know, I just knew, like, something in me was like, that's exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
Is on stage opening for Tom Grennan or something like that, because my dream, you know, like, for example, like Paul Hughes working so hard getting to the FC, you know,
Yeah.
like, my dream is to break through into the UK, and it always has been since I was 15, you know,
Yeah.
especially 18, 19, to become like the #1 artist at the minute in UK, or break into the top 10 and start off with the UK and hopefully take it as far as I can. And I did this TikTok. I was like, you know what, I'm like, hey guys, can we make this go viral so that I can open up for Tom Grennan? And I put that up, and people were tagging him and stuff. And then him asking me that was crazy. Do you know what I mean? And I haven't actually said this before because I don't know what way people would take this. But like, do you know the way, like, I really wanted to open up for Tom Grennan, right?
Yeah.
I actually didn't even buy tickets to that show because I would be so like itchy and like disappointed, but like, I wish I was up there opening up for him. Do you know what I mean? So like, I suppose it's people could say about like maybe Rhys McKee, and the best way to put it, like, Rhys McKee didn't wear like UFC gear until he made it to the FC kind of thing.
Yeah.
I suppose someone said to me it's kind of like that in a way. It's like, in the least way, like, I would have loved to have been at that concert, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't buy a couple of tickets because I just wish I was up there opening up for him, because I know that's exactly where I would love to be.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually opening up for him.
Yeah.
I can enjoy the concert.
Yeah, you can buy us tickets now.
Yeah, and I actually bought 7 from a family. So yeah,
I
bought 7.
suppose now, like, coming to the end, have you got any sort of songs coming out right soon that you want people to keep an eye out for, or any
Just
music
shout
coming
out your
out?
socials.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
I've really enjoyed this. This is great.
Remember us when you're up in the charts and doing stadiums and all that.
Yeah. That
no.
you get a few tickets, all right, and that'll be class. Yeah, like, you know, throughout all this, it's funny because I haven't done anything different. You know, since before the Taylor Swift thing is a real milestone, and it has changed a lot of things in the best way possible. But before that happened, I was gigging, I was writing, I was recording. After it's happened, I'm just doing the exact same thing. Only now, I think a few more people are watching, and there's a bit more of hype, which is really fun. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep releasing, recording. What I am going to do is, well, this is how it's kind of going to work at the minute. Obviously, you can never plan what's going to happen in the future. Who knows? Yeah. But what I would like for it to happen, that's in my control, is, you know, keep releasing, keep recording, writing. And then I'm opening up for Tom Grennan in the Ulster Hall next year in March, the 29th. And then after, I'm going to go to America, to either Nashville or LA, for a while, and write and record and meet my team.
Class.
And what I'm going to do is, with the money that Taylor gave me at the tip, I'm going to buy my flights to America from.
Nice.
So it's like, I don't know, it's like a blockbuster movie or something in my life sometimes. But
so it's just
I'm a rocket man.
We're gonna wrap up here because we have to be away for 6. Okay. You can find you then on, is it just Tiernan Heffron on like, if people want to follow you, just literally just Tiernan Heffron?
Yeah, on everything. Sweet. Yeah,
on Spotify, Instagram,
Spotify, all that there.
You know,
go look the man up.
Spotify. But I tell you, you know, a lot of artists would probably relate to this, that like Spotify is the main thing. You know what I mean? Like, you want to drive everything you possibly can to Spotify. So yeah, if you can, you know, check my stuff out on Spotify. Give me a follow. It'd be good. Instagram, TikTok. I'm enjoying TikTok at the minute. Hopefully this goes viral.
Hopefully we get a few.
Make this viral.
Thanks for coming on, and best of luck with everything in America.
It's been a pleasure.
Shay, Thomas and Ross.
Thanks very much for listening.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hope I didn't talk too much.